Yeah, that's, yep. Okay. Hey everybody, welcome to Reading Smoke with Phil Jost. I'm Phil Jost. Let's get started. Hey, not live today. We're recording because I'm going to be on the road visiting family and stuff, and that's going to be the case a fair amount of the fall of the year here because I'm out teaching Reading Smoke a lot, tactical decision making. You can see a list of classes here in the post, and if you can make it to one of the classes, please say hello. But we're going to start today. We're going to be on scene with the Reading Fire Department, and thanks to Rainman14 for making this video, putting it up there so we can take a look at it. As always, we're starting our Reading Smoke on arrival whenever possible, right? So we're going to arrive. This is actually prior to fire department arrival, and we have a pretty good. Oops, I missed my mark before the fire department arrives. So let's go back. I missed my cue. Right, so we have a pretty significant fire. We're looking at right here. We have thin, black, and fast coming from this little bit of fire right here. Remember, the fire is always going to dry your eye first, so that because of the way your eye is built for light and motion, that's what you're attracted to. We want to get our eyes off that and get to the rest of the picture. And there's a lot of picture here. So full disclosure, I do not have a lot of experience with this type of row house construction, this old school type. There's a lot of new row houses in Seattle which are lightweight, but built, right on top of each other like these are, but just not this type of construction. So if you look at this going, man, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I mean, I think there's some of the stuff I'm going to say is going to translate from my experience to this endeavor, but if I get something wrong, happy to address that and have you send me a comment or DM or whatever it is. But right now we have a pretty good working fire, and because the fire's at this level, it's showing, I think it's between the floors, so it's actually showing out of the floor joists between 2 and 3, but significant smoke up here. It's a fair amount, so I'd actually call this high volume. Some turbulence where it's just coming out. Moderate in the density, it's pushing towards the thick end. But the color's in this gray scale, and you notice in these other areas, though, we're starting to get brown. So remember, brown is from natural lumber, untreated wood, untreated natural products that are getting heated up into the 400-ish degree range, right? So there's already brown smoke coming from over here, and then there's some getting pushed. Now, right now, I don't think that this fire has extended into these other occupancies, but that is something that we would want to be concerned about. So, but let's get the fire department arriving here, because this is a pretty long video, and we're going to cover a fair amount of it. When it gets choppy like this, what I like to do is just skip back a little. Yeah, that made it better, so it won't be nearly as choppy, right? So a lot of turbulent, moderate density in the grayscale, and some brown smoke coming from the top of floor 3. We have fire showing from that area between 2 and 3, but the smoke is showing from the spaces in the wall all along here, right here at the top, up here into the attic, and already we're starting to see smoke from the adjacent occupancies right off the bat. So what do we need to do here? When you're looking at this, the main thing is that the fire that's showing the most directly is the fire at the top of floor 2, bottom of floor 3, so in the space in between, right? So the thing to do is identify where that started. Did it actually start in the joist space, which does happen because of the electricity that runs through that? Another option, another possibility here, actually the first possibility that I would rule out is, are there basements in this place? Which, if this is your first in district, you're going to know this stuff, right? But is there a basement, and is there a fire in the basement? And if there's not, if there's a basement and there's no fire, then we can address it as it looks to us, right? But if this fire start in the basement, can the fire start in the basement in this type of occupancy and then show itself like this? Absolutely it can, right? Go up the wall, go down, go sideways. But because it actually burned through the siding here, it's likely, I think, that it started in this space right in here. That's the most likely scenario, although not certain to be sure. The fire could have started somewhere else on floor 2 or even floor 1 and extended up. I don't think that's the most likely possibility, but we'd want to rule anything out that's below where we're going to be operating. We want to rule that out as we're walking around and looking at this thing with our eyes. Like, we're never going to see down that low, really, as we're looking at this video, but you'd want to rule that out. So it's on the top of floor 2, but the visibility, you can see the lights and stuff in here on floor 2, so the visibility is pretty good on floor 2. So probably started in the space between floor 2 and floor 3. And certainly if it's in that joist base, the easiest way to access that is from below through the lath and plaster, probably in this occupancy, lath and plaster. Could be sheetrock, right? I mean, it theoretically could be shiplap or something like that. It's unlikely but possible, but certainly easier to get it from below and safer to get it from below than try to go above and go through the floor and the subfloor. Pretty significant velocity coming out of these up here, and this white in here, part of that's going to be the steam coming off of the wood as it's heated up. It's a little bit hard to figure out how much of it because the wind is blowing it back out of our sight a little bit. You can see a little bit of clean, pristine dissipating from this, but the color is changing rapidly as that heats up, and even the brown over here is getting darker and darker, right? So our main problem is top of floor 2, bottom of floor 3. Now they're going to get going on this, they're going to set up, and certainly there's a link in the show notes here. You can go and watch the whole video, but I sort of want to pop it forward and recognize that the lateral spread here is something that you'd really want to be keeping a close eye on. And in fact, if you're an IC in this sort of situation, you want to assume that you're going to get attic fires in these other spaces. You want to have the resourcing to get ahead of it and not burn the whole block down because you didn't anticipate, right? But pretty significant. It's getting bigger here, and with the wind condition, right? A lot of the smoke we're not being able to see, but the smoke conditions definitely, it's in the this wall on the A side for sure, which means it has access to the attic, right? It's got access to the void spaces in this occupancy. I mean, you can look, it's blowing all the way down here now. Pretty significant, all right? And they're gonna get going, they're gonna start putting it out. And as they do that, we can see really copious volumes of billowing white, right? That means the white's getting in there. And some of these areas with the extension, like I'd want to keep my eye over here and see how quickly this dissipates. Does it dissipate, or does it actually increase in volume, velocity, density, color, right? If it changes to white and then constantly, right, keeps going down, 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 that means the fire didn't actually extend over there. As soon as the velocity and the density, if they level out over here, or the color gets worse, then you definitely have a fire in that space. Either way, you're going to want to check it out. Keep moving, right? Constantly, it's just less and less and less here, right? There's less volume, less velocity, less density. Still some of this residual. Now, we're far enough into, you're maybe 6, 7, 8 minutes after knockdown. I'm starting to get concerned about some of these other spaces. And that's why I said earlier, you'd want to have those resources coming, because these are whole separate occupancies, right, that you're going to have to get up in there, maybe do some tick work, maybe get up into the, you have to get up into the attic spaces and really take a look at these things. But overall, they're in pretty good shape as far as their VVDC continuing to go down. There's still plenty of digging out to do here. We haven't even talked about searches and those sorts of things. But just this fire attack, another few minutes later, mostly clean, pristine, dissipating white. Over here, there's almost nothing left over here. There's a little bit on occasion. Again, is that just getting pushed, or is there a fire extension in the middle? All that has to be dug out, right? We're not going to do that from the video screen. We're not going to know what's going on. But overall, if we can figure out right up front, right, this is actually later in the video, almost all of the smoke is completely gone now, right? And so as you're looking at this thing, like right up front, we have a pretty significant problem that could be extending Reading Fire Department, they get in there, they do their thing, and start getting water on it, and they're able to, it appears as if they're able to hold it just to the original occupancy. Maybe some damage into these other attic spaces. I don't know for sure because I'm not there, right? But that's what we want to anticipate, right? We want to not just presume from reading smoke that we're going to be able to stop it from getting into these adjacent occupancies because the smoke's already brown over here. We want to think ahead that it is a high likelihood that it's going to get in there, and we want to be ahead of it from a staffing, from a resourcing, get enough help there, right? In addition to solving your primary problem to begin with. All right, so that's for this week, Reading Smoke with Phil Jose. Thanks for being here. Hit like, hit subscribe. I really appreciate any feedback. If I got something wrong here, hey man, don't hesitate to tell me, because I want to learn, because I want to get the right message out there. Right? I want to make sure that I'm not telling people things that are inaccurate or untrue. I'm making the best read I can based on my experience and my understanding of fire behavior and reading smoke. And so for this week with Reading Smoke with Phil Jose, I'm Phil Jose, and I'm out.